Welcome back, everybody, to the PML. It's time for our final set of the day, Exile versus FiveStack Esports. But I'd be remiss if I didn't take a second to kind of talk about that war between Sanguine and Hype Unit. Sanguine definitely showed up today, Kresnik. I have to say, very impressed with what they were put up.
Yeah, agreed, especially since, I mean, it's out at this point.
It's
Hype Unit,
not, there's nothing on the line.
Yeah, but they just want to prove themselves to Hype. I mean, there's always been a little bit of a rivalry, a little bit of a clash between the two of those teams, and even with nothing on the line, I think they still definitely want to assert their dominance. But Hype Unit, at the end of the day, I think Sanguine just dropped one or two little things, and Hype Unit took advantage of them.
Just small little moments. That was really what it came down to. There was not a lot of bad drafting. There was not a lot of free team fights that just fell into either team's lap. They had to work for it. And hopefully we're going to get some similar action here and similar competitiveness between FiveStack and between Exile. Now, again, nothing really on the line for these couple of teams, but if you want to use this as your best possible practice, you need to look ahead. If you want to continue to have a future here in the minor league, you need to take all of this stuff seriously all the way through the end of the split.
And these teams have historically been really close. I mean, I just looked at their history between them, and I think the set score overall is 7-6 for Exile.
Wow.
That's pretty much as close as it gets with odd rounds, right? Someone has to be at least a little bit ahead, but 7-6 is as close as it can be between them.
Yeah, these guys definitely looking to go and give us a show. I think they really deserve, or we deserve that after what we just saw, the war between Sanguine and the boys of Hype Unit here. FiveStack and Exile, we'll be looking to get to the map screen here pretty soon and see which way this one's going to go. But I think as the last couple of weeks here in the minor league wrap up, you definitely have to commend all these players. It's been awesome to see. I think this has been one of the more competitive minor league phases and just years overall. I mean, you look at the way the MSI went. You have Penta going the distance and upsetting everyone. This minor league is for real. I think we've gotten a lot of value out of it, right? It's an endeavor as a whole you kind of set out, and you hope that you get good players out of it. The idea here is that people in the minor league can compete and have some type of ecosystem to dip their toes into competitive Paladins with and eventually make it to the minor league. And I have to say, it's been a pretty successful endeavor, I think, overall. I've really kind of been happy with what the minor league has given us.
And it's surprising, too, considering that the minor league, it previously was Premier League and minor league all online.
Yeah.
And now that Premier League is online, people said it was going to kind of widen the gap, but I feel like we've seen it shrink. I feel like these teams have been looking fantastic.
Weird, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It is a very strange thing, and I frankly agreed with that sentiment. I think the gap was always there between the Premier League and the minor league, obviously, but with just this Thunderdome of competition every single week, scrims, everyone's in the same region, all the best teams, all the best players in the world, all able to kind of compete in the North American space. Even if it is like an online scrim, it's still in the same geographical region. But you're right, man. I think it's been just enough for the North American minor league to have all that talent here. And Europe's always kind of had the edge at least a little bit in the minor league. And they have enough, I think, good practice of teams cycling back and traveling back. Now, that could be a different story if every team was here.
Imagine if Navi and Nip lived here.
Yeah, if Navi, Nip, they all just were here full time, it could be a very different story. But hopefully, I think Penta and All Business, those guys are the best practice they can get when they're back home, as far as PPL teams are concerned. Anyway, here now into this draft for game number 1. Pretty standard fare, except for the Atlas does make it through. Not only does he survive the bans, he survives the first round. It is Cassie that is first picked over him.
Which is interesting to me. I feel like maybe they could see Big Game not being cleansed by second chance as kind of like a pseudo counter to him. But the crazy thing to me is how he got through. That is a aspect targeted ban.
Yeah.
For sure. He had a fantastic performance on Grover, I think. The last time we saw them play, and I guess it's good enough for FiveStack to think it's just worth getting rid of.
Yeah, and even the con, right? I mean, it's tough when your first pick, you are cool usually letting one power tank through because it means you get it. But we'll have to see how it pans out here. FiveStack have certainly made a very divisive choice here in the first section of the picks, and kind of in the last as well. Though we'll go for the Buck. Despite Eevee being available, one of the more popular flankers here, Buck is starting to kind of peek his head out every now and again.
He's good on this map if you don't want to put a lot of resources into him. It's also FiveStack, a Latin American team. Maybe they don't want to deal with the ping for Eevee. They want to play a hit scan character that might feel a little bit more consistent for them. Buck's no slouch, though. Honestly, I feel like it could be really effective at pressuring. Just got to worry about that setback, because if you get setback after using that bulk up, he's going to be a squishy target.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Playing around it is half the battle. This good draft is the other half. Let's get it down to the casters for game one.
Well, FiveStack and Exile about to kick things off on Serpent Beach. An interesting kind of ban phase there for FiveStack.
Yeah.
Gore. You ban Grover Khan, first pick Cassie, and then the other team picks Atlas. I guess they're feeling confident about, kind of the strategy they built. They rounded things out with a Buck, but interesting nonetheless.
Cassie's really good. Buck can be really good on this map. Impulse
Hey, it's Frog.
going to be there for two again. Frog subbing in.
Nice.
Little known fact, he is the Frog. Or, no, he is the sub. He is the Frog as well. He's the sub for this team. Haven't seen him in a hot minute. Well, it's not Eevee, so we'll have to see how he actually performs on it, because his Eevee is ridiculously good for whatever reason. And it'll be fun having him back in the minor league for a little bit.
The drastic increase in Frog memes the moment I started following him on Twitter was a great thing, to be sure.
He had a good one yesterday. I can't remember what it was, but it really made me laugh. Like, I'm like going to bed, I'm scrolling through, and it was like, I drew this myself, and it was just like half of a frog and then a sentence at the bottom. I can't remember what the sentence was, but it was great.
I imagine it was. Not many of them are bad. Amadeus is looking for a little flank. What was it?
It said down with the patriarchy. it was half a frog, and like its legs went down to like what you would, I guess, would be mid-thigh for a frog. And then at the bottom it just said, in really small text, down with the patriarchy.
Well, makes sense. Those two things.
That's why he's playing Inara.
I guess, yeah. No, you're not wrong. I guess that all goes together. It's all one big cohesive meme. Fortunately,
Just like my life.
your life's a cohesive meme.
Well, not cohesive, but it is meme.
It is a meme. You're not wrong, Gore. Mine is much the same, so I'll stand with you in that one. FiveStack leave the point. Despite having mid control there for a little while, Exile find themselves at 99%. Looking for Bagel just to plug away some good damage here. Asdiff rounds this back corner. Low health right now on this Mave. Amadeus charges on in there as the Buck grabs the first kill. On to Bagel, and Frog respawns back into the fight, grabs a kill, and point number one for Exile rounds itself out.
Buck Wild in the back line, gonna get some damage, but it's not gonna be enough to find any kills here. Ice Monkey gonna get aggressive. Pretty good start to the defense for FiveStack. And I'm gonna go out on a side note and just say, I don't think any ult noise has quite the same impact as Buck. When you go Buck Wild and you just hear a train whistle, you know something's about to happen. Unfortunately, there for Amadeus, it wasn't anything crazy big, but the impact and the implications behind it are always going to be there.
Good start for Exile. They were back at base. Now getting things marching on forward. Use the seismic crash to kind of retake their ground. Bagel had a Buck waiting around the corner, but that leap is going to get him nice and safe. Aston very deep in there. Going to use a second chance. Not going to keep him alive for too much longer. Tuga grabs that one, but now the rest of FiveStack is a bit caught out. Bagel looking for one last shot, grabs it. Bit of an even fight here as Exile just looking to chip away at this FiveStack defense.
Going to be able to hit 3 out of 4 of those 520 daggers to be able to deal that damage. Midnight going to be popped. Not getting aggressive with it, so using it kind of to force FiveStack to fall back. But not gaining too much ground, kind of curious use of it. But 19 health makes it out on the edge of his seat. He's able to stay alive and maybe continue putting some pressure on Tuga over here on the left side.
Exile's gotten the better of most of the matchups between these two teams. But they always tend to be a little bit close, don't they, Gore? They're always bit lengthier sets.
Wow.
The Dome Shield cooldown, I believe, used from Zero there. And immediately dies for it, so, very defensive, trying to just cover his escape, but grabs probably the least amount of value as you possibly could out of a Dome Shield. So a bit unfortunate there for FiveStack, but nonetheless, they stall things out on the defense.
Didn't even get to finish his sentence. The last one and we'll never know. I don't know what the rest of it's going to be. Unfortunately for him, it's down 22% charged back. Zero going to end up falling. Overtime looking like a distinct possibility here for Exile. They've got 4 ults available, almost have the Midnight recharged. I mean, it's 45% of the push they have to make. And unless they just don't sit on the payload, I can't imagine that they don't at least make it to this last bend. Getting around this last corner will be difficult, though.
They have a little bit of vertical mobility, obviously a big, important part of this payload push. Good blink, good teleport, I guess, to one of her other clones to keep Ying alive. 1-for-1 trade. Tuga gets Dintic. He'll get set back, actually, helpfully, seemingly, up to the high ground.
Back to the high ground. Let's go.
Jumps right back down, now in behind the rest of Exile. Second chance. Overtime is going to absolutely disappear the moment that frog dies, and there it goes. Point number 1, FiveStack.
I admire Dintic trying to go in, get the touch, keep things rolling for the team, at least in terms of overtime, but it was going to fall so fast, like you said. There's not too much of a chance. Astif is 1 in 5 aspect, 0 and 4. Those two maybe needing to kind of clean up a little bit more to make things go their way. Or, admittedly, they don't have to do too much other than help focus down Tuga, who is the pretty much one and only threat. Ice Monkey kind of right behind him, but 8-1 and 3, top damage in the game. Tuga has repeatedly showcased over weeks of minor league play that Cassie is his best champion.
Yeah,
and I think one of the best for FiveStacks. And honestly, maybe one of the best Cassies that's in the minor league when it comes down to it. He plays it so well.
Oh!
And that's a great way to start the round.
Yeah, it turns things up here for FiveStack. Now at a 5 versus 3 advantage. And, you know, you try to push the fight, but the moment that happens, Exile just pull all the way back. No chance they want to try to fight that one. No fast cap for either side, only through time and space use. Exile still have a lot. Illusory Rift is going to save the life of the Atlas here. Fortunately, on the enemy team is 0. Can't benefit from any of that healing, and now the seismic crash from Frog down onto the point as Asdiff grabs a kill.
And just being able to start this off right, 54%. And now they've been zoned out. Tuga in an unfortunate position, going to get zoned around and surrounded. They still have Exiles, still have Midnight. Well, there goes the Midnight. Try and get things rolling for him. It's going to cause a lot of trouble. I think the zone right now is maybe deal with 0, focus him out. And if you can't let him come in and touch, can't do anything here. Even with a nice little bit of Exiles, they're only being able to prolong a little bit of time, but they have nothing to deal with the Inara. Frog has been doing his job perfectly here.
Yeah, it was a pretty decent Exile, actually, onto Ice Monkey. We don't always see, like, wildly impactful Exiles, but in Ashe, in her Assert Dominance, just to mitigate a lot of that presence.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the better uses for it in that engagement.
The only time I would argue it could be better is if you can Exile it, like, mid-ult. But honestly, I think that use that you highlight, like, that's even objectively, in my mind, that's better, because then she just doesn't have it. Like, she can't use it again later. It's just, yeah, cool. You're spending, if you're going to spend 8 seconds immune, spend it outside of the game. Have fun.
I haven't seen that interaction. An Exile mid-Assert Dominance. Does it just reset as if you were void gripped, or do you come out of it and continue down with your banner? Actually, I've never seen that interaction.
I'm gonna assume more like void grip,
where it probably resets.
It probably resets and you can like pop it again, but it'd be really sick if it was the latter, where it's just you just fall back down. Like if they Exile you over the payload and he hits you with 2 of them.
Right.
In the middle of your drop, and then like they move the payload like 10 feet, then you land behind them, and they're just like, cool, have fun back there, ding dong.
This is a good defense for Tuga. 11, 3, and 6 now. Died twice, but grabbed another 3 kills for that Cassie. Muto Ryu, I mean, he set that mid fight up as perfectly as you could for your team. I guess they just, you know, the zone was there. Exile did a good job of, I think, the 3 remaining members falling back. But, I don't know. FiveStack, I guess, just didn't have a good enough zone in on the end of that mid-fight. Exile kind of retook easily.
I think it was a little bit of a mix of biting off more than you can chew, and then once that happened, it became easy to start displacing people. Specifically, like Tuga, 12 and 3, doing a great job. But he was way too far forward with no one really around him. And it's just kind of because they controlled Ice Monkey, they control Zero, and Amadeus hasn't been able to have the performance, I think, on the Buck to really justify it.
Right.
I think Tuga is showcasing why they can first pick this Cassie, especially considering Astif, is not having a breakout game on this Atlas. It's nothing out of the ordinary. It's just kind of standard run-of-the-mill right now. So go for something that you know is going to shift the dynamic. Get this Cassie and keep yourselves rolling forward.
A nice wall sets up a kill for Asdiff here. Payload a lot closer this time than it was at the end of the last round. Tuga grabs a shot, maybe a saving grace. Zero still back, respawning. Seismic crash, drops down, assert dominance, cut out not by the Exile, but the damage. And Exile grab point number 3 here on Serpent Beach.
And we get to see that. I love this angle, and it's one of those things, you think about it a lot. Everyone walks over there. If he had been able to maybe slow someone down slightly, that could have been a triple kill.
Yeah, close.
Looking at there was one horse slightly behind, one horse slightly ahead of the shot. Has it charged up for this round. So we'll see if Muto is going to go for it one more time, or if maybe he'll hold on to it a little longer, try to get some controller on the objective.
And I think Exile will be feeling good with kind of what they spent to get that one in. I mean, Seismic Crash really just to seal the deal. Illusory Rift is going to be coming up pretty quickly. Dintic at 10, 5, and 4. Through time and space. One more time for Muto. Hard to replicate a big double kill to start off the round, much less even just one. Very situational on that one. So Exile off to a good start. Using the Exiles is Atlas now. Asdiff looking for a little bit of value. Ooh, actually, that's a very good setback. Ice Monkey dropped down the banner, immediately rewound. Back down to the low ground there. Exile at 45%, off to a good start on this mid, but those health bars are shrinking.
Ying managing to stay alive through all of that. A nice little setback once again, trying to focus down Tuga and Ice Monkey. Again, the two biggest threats. Not able to get that last shot off. And Exile with Frog going down there. Lose this point almost entirely, unless Maeve is going to get back and make some miracle plays with comeback mechanic. This should be done.
Yeah, it seems like Comeback are going to push him through the finish line here. Amadeus with a much more impactful mid-fight. No gap closing, really, for the Atlas. Oh, but that's Frog, who's still alive, still on the horse, who's able to get in. The Enlightenment from Bagel. No kills there, just roots him for the moment he's out. Tuga gets the kill there. 99%. Once Frog gets melted down, things look a lot less likely for Exile. No front lines left to contest. Once Asdiff goes down and FiveStack grab themselves point number 2, the chance to tie with a push.
Honestly, if they had something, if Bagel was maybe a little more consistent right now, Tuga would have almost no chance in some of these fights, but Tuga is getting away with a lot in these engagements, and because of that, not only is he on a 6 streak, he's only died, what, 4 times total maybe this entire game. He is out of his mind, and kind of, I would argue the primary reason FiveStack are still in this fight, instead of Exile walking away with a win right there. He burned through both Bagel, then Frog, and Astif. Like, anybody who sits in front of him just takes too much damage. They don't know where to stand.
Yeah, good shots from him. Finally, the streak ends. And there was probably more impact in that one mid from the Buck than we had seen throughout the rest of the game. Great Buck Wild, plugged away some damage, confirmed a couple of kills. So a good look there for Amadeus to keep his team in this one. To Ryu, one more time, grabs it through time and space kill, and FiveStack are gonna look at that as a chance to get aggressive here. Ice Monkey back, shoulder bashes in, knocks back, no second chance for Asdiff. Good little turn of events there as FiveStack looks to keep going.
And a nice little stun on Aspect. Now they're gonna be able to body block both Dintic and Frog I think makes the appropriate call. Jump off the map, go join his brethren in the water. Then respawn, come back in, and
isn't Frog Isle next to this map, like geographically?
Yeah, he's just swimming over there. And then having to figure out how to climb the perilous rocks that are surrounding Frog.
Well, he hops up, right?
I guess, do you think a Frog could successfully traverse it without dying? I mean, almost anybody we send down there, giant turtles included, insta-give the minute they hit the rocks.
Well, they got the sticky finger pads, right?
True.
I think that
Yeah, I
might.
think a Frog could do it.
I think so. We'll have to.
Maybe that's why it's called Frog Isle. They're the only ones who could truly conquer.
Well,
it.
yeah, the one's up on top of the pillar, right? The big waterfall statue. That's how he got up there. Truly scientific, and I think truly accurate. Amadeus, opening kill here. Exile down to 4 members defending. Another big double kill for the Buck is Aspect. He's able to trade one out, but things not looking great right now for Exile. Bagel, maybe the saving grace, but not enough. And this game is tied at 3 with one more mid to decide it.
Good decisive kills at the end. Really good angles from Muto the entire time. Every time he's going for this ult, he's been able to connect on somebody.
Nice.
Bagel was half a second,
Yeah.
maybe, away from getting out of that. I mean, that dash was caught on the tail end. But it's 12 and 9, 1 and 8 for Aspect, getting picked on as the healer. Frog was 3 and 3, I believe, now 4 and 8. And you're starting to see Amadeus come online. 10, 8, 16, 10, 8, 13 there for Ice Monkey. Of course, the big one, which is Tuga, 16, 5, and 12. The primary target of Exile, or what should start working that way.
Yep.
Because he is keeping this team afloat. And might make the difference and give them a win here.
A couple dismounts there for Muto. Doesn't have the through time and space. Will be up towards the end of this mid fight, though. Dintic finding the opening first blood of this mid fight onto Amadeus. The Buck was really starting to hit its stride, but it's not going to be so at the start here. Aspect pops the illusory rift, and that's the go button for Exile. Asdif looking for a few of those of his own, perhaps 2. Maybe 1 earlier. The second chance is going to refill that health bar, but Gore, look at the percentage, 72 for Exile.
It's a very, very good early lead. Astif finally gets taken down. They don't have the illusory rift since they used that earlier this round, which means Frog is not going to be able to heal back up too cleanly. But they're at 99%. They have time to lose this fight and come back to try and win a second one.
Oh my, Tuga, he got 4 kills on that re-engage. Pushes his kill count up to 20.
Jeez.
25 and 13 for the Cassie. 99% for Exile. 63 and climbing for FiveStack. One last zone. Exile getting themselves back into position. Frog moves himself in, but so much poke damage already onto Asdif. He was going to try to get aggressive around the backside, but has to wait for some healing from Aspect. Finds the first blood, though, nonetheless. Dintic drops down the Midnight. And the rest of the kills may be soon to fall here. Bagel gets 1 onto 0. Can you deal with Tuga, though? You might not have to. That's 2 for the Leon, 1 for Frog. Dintic gets the sealing deal onto the Cassie. And Exile, despite a 20-kill performance from the Cassie, were able to find themselves the win.
Finally being able to go through and deal with her at the end, too. Like, there was a certain point where it was just like, screw it, don't think about Tuga, just focus on the objective. We're at 99%, we don't need to think about it. But there was also that, okay, but also end her streak and stop her damage. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm looking at it slightly before, he was at 145k just a few seconds before the end there. I would not be surprised if he topped 150,000. He did 152k coming through for Cassie. And Tuga is the saving grace. If there's anything that kept that team going, he was the lifeblood. And admittedly to me, that screams Exile, ban Cassie.
And look at the healing numbers kind of on the flip. You get 241,000 for Aspect. Call it 90k over what Muto was able to do. And I mean, a lot of that kind of damage mitigation. It's not necessarily damage resistance, but the damage that was pouring into Exile was in general getting healed up. Maybe a lot due to the illusory rift, but slash line's much less attractive for Exile. But I think Dintic, time and time again, found kind of these first bloods onto FiveStack, whether it was Tuga or Amadeus. Gave his team that little extra edge.
And was able to come through in a lot of these areas. I think taking care of Cassie would have been his #1 priority for Dintic. But he wasn't always able to get back there. And admittedly, with how much damage he was able to hit there, you could see 52 on those bonus daggers because of Ash's 90% damage reduction.
Right.
But in a lot of these, hitting for around 520. So if he hits both 1040 per shot for those 2 shots right after his prowl, it just makes it a little bit better for him to maybe chunk down some of those tanks, deal with the front line, open up the door for someone else to come in and scoop up the kill for him.
Yep.
Maybe allowing Bagel to come make some flashy plays.
Well, it's a good start for Exile. Not a bad one, though, for FiveStack. I mean, if you look at the individual players on FiveStack, I think they'll be pretty happy with how Game 1 went. Unfortunately, not a win for them. Exile are the ones doing that. Game 1 in the books. Game 2 right after this.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins minor league. Pretty competitive game 1 there between Exile and FiveStack Esports. The first pick, Cassie, pays off in a great KD, but unfortunately is unable to be converted into an actual win on the scoreboard. Kresnik, that was, kind of ugly at times, I think, for both squads, but when it comes down to it, that Cassie really paid off for them, but what was it that you saw missing or lacking that wasn't able to actually convert all of those kills into a win?
Honestly, those blows being traded back and forth throughout the game, I felt like they had what it took, but in the last moments, I mean, not being able to hunt down that final kill, Dintic, I think, hiding away very, very effectively. And also the composure of Frog on the other side, coming in, and he's not a tank player.
Yeah.
And Inara's kind of a specific tank. You don't really just pick up and play Inara, so props to him for kind of being a wall in the way of FiveStack that they couldn't break through.
They did a really good job at knowing when it's time to get back in there, how to get back in there as well. Not just like throwing a corpse onto the objective, but taking it slow, using all the time available, not rushing it, and managing to get it done. I think that was a really solid performance and hopefully an indicator of how the rest of this set is going to go. We'll head to the map screen and see where this is going to play out. A pretty lengthy Serpent Beach going narrowly in favor of Exile, and I can't stress narrowly enough there. It really looked like FiveStack might be able to take that one towards the end of it. But Bright Marsh is where we will head next. Has not historically been a 4-3 type of map. Hasn't even really been a longer than 10-minute type of map either way. Not only is it smaller, kind of shorter mathematically, but the compositions that are strong here, people tend to want to end these games quick.
Yeah, and also I think losing the apartment side, if you don't win that flank fight, it's very easy to just get rolled on mid with almost no hope. If you're stuck in your staircase in your tree and you're just getting spammed from the windows and completely surrounded, there's just not a response you can really have.
Well, 3 frontliners banned away. Wow. The 2 power tanks plus Khan and a Willow. Standard-ish fare. I think that 4th ban is still a little bit up in the air as you go set to set, right? You're going to see a different ban slotted in there for the 4th place. But still picking the first Barrack and then immediately following it up with the Cassie. That was clearly not a problem for FiveStack. Something very strong. Something they feel is worth a first pick, so you best believe they're going to pick it in that 2-3 phase.
For sure. And the Ashe, too, very aggressive, good at getting really good pressure on the apartment side that I mentioned is so important. If you have the Cassie and the Ashe over there and the Ashe just runs in and denies them a chance to hold that area, now that Cassie that just did so well last game is free firing from the window. A lot of space opened up. It could be very effective. And honestly, I think this first pick Barrack, I think Frog just kind of wants to frag. I'm going to be honest. I think Frog is like, I want to aim Tinker in this game.
Yeah, for sure.
First pick the Barrack.
Because he's not a tank player at heart, like you mentioned. And this is probably the best place to be if you're a frontliner that wants to frag. Barrack easily can top damage in a game. Amongst the frontliners is almost guaranteed to be top damaging. Still pretty aim intensive. Cooldown, you have to rotate those appropriately.
Stay away from me.
And we round out with a Tyra Fernando.
think that might be more of a burn monster
You
counter
trust us
potentially
and are
on the
unwanted,
point
stranger.
onto the Nara, try to win that duel. The Nando is definitely the question mark for me. Nando off tank, maybe just to stall the Ashe, just have that sustain so they can't give that area up. But later once Wrecker's online, I think that Nando is gonna fall off.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Nando's a tough character to pull off, in my opinion. I don't often recommend it, especially when you kind of have a pretty good roster around it. Not a lot of good control, not a lot of good options left in the frontline pool.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. A lot of stuff was banned out. A lot of stuff was already picked away. Let's head it down to the casters and see what these two teams are able to pull off.
Well, they grabbed themselves Fernando as their 5th and final pick in the draft. Tyra as well here for Exile, looking to follow up a win in game 1. With another one here on Brightmarsh. FiveStack get themselves the Cassie again, and
Yeah.
Tuga will look to follow up on that 20-kill performance. Maybe one more here on Brightmarsh.
So there's, I think, one of two ways this goes, right? Either Exile focus that down and make it an abysmal performance this time around because they know it can go ridiculously well. But it's Amadeus on it this time. Tuga on the Maeve.
Ooh.
So that might shake up their strategy a little bit. Frog this time going to be switching from the Inara to the Barrack. And I mean, Tyra, Leon, a lot that can go right here, a lot that can go wrong, depending on how well Amadeus now does on this Cassie. And, well, we'll have to see Tuga on his performance with the Maeve.
Nice Monkey a little bit caught out. Wall, I think intended to help, but actually caught him on the wrong side of it, unfortunately. His Aspect finds first blood. 0 pulls off of the point here. Good start for Exile. Asdiff now piloting the Fernando. Gonna dash his way right on out of that. Tyra for Exile is gonna be maybe a difference maker, depending on the placement of some of those firebombs. You can see one burning away to the left there is actually gonna chunk out Ice Monkey for a decent little bit of damage. Exile at 51% now though, Gores. Amadeus grabs a return kill.
Just trying to hold off 42% for FiveStack as they're kind of bouncing back and forth between control of the objective. Asdiff shield going to go down, which means he's going to have to eat that cooldown, but Ice Monkey gets taken away. So Apartments control goes over to Exile. And they're approaching this at a pretty steady pace, consistent rate, but the problem is displacing everybody off of FiveStack to get control of the point. 78 to 78. Exile right now have the hold.
It's kind of been this tug of war. One pick is really all that separated, standing on the point versus not. 0 knocks back Frog with a little bit of a wall, and Asdiff off the point. Gets cleaned up by a kill here. Crossfire ripping on through from Dintic. Gets some good damage in onto 0. No kill confirmed just yet. Backs off. 99% for Exile, and FiveStack not in time on the overtime touch. Looks like he just stepped off and then retouched. Exile get themselves point number 1.
Frog will take that all days when he can. He's just, I'm going to walk up, I'm going to step on the objective, capture the objective, then I'm going to fall back. Let my team win, lose, whatever happens for that next fight. We got the point, got the payload. We're on Brightmarsh, so if we spend 30 seconds trying to figure out what's going on, that's A-okay. 2 minutes now left on the clock. Try and convert this one through, and that is more than enough time. It's ult after ult after ult are coming down for FiveStack.
That was a great Immortal, though. Counter to everything out there. Seismic Crash into the Assert Dominance. Effectively mitigated by that beautiful Immortal there for Exile. Unfortunately, they were stunned and kind of locked up, so the repositioning wasn't quite there for them. Are able to get a kill. Whirlwind for Exile to try to get back into this fight. Get Ice Monkey. It's a big loss for FiveStack, so this payload will start moving forward. What a play that was to keep their team in it.
Amadeus holding off on the side. Gonna be a difficult performance to follow up on, Cassie. I'm expecting a lot, even though I know it's a different player now that's coming through. Bagel following up his performance. Kind of a double sign on Leon here. So far has been able to hit a little more consistency coming through. But I want to see maybe just a little pop-off performance from him would be pretty interesting for him and the team. 50 seconds left. That might be the kind of thing you need to help get around this final bend on Brightmarsh and up that hill.
Yeah, not looking like they're going to do it, though. Plenty of time. but the numbers are not there. Bagel graces his way backwards with 95 health in the bank. Exile not in the best spot, trying to push the payload in. Don't really have any backdoor potential either. This is going to be done the old-fashioned way or not at all for Exile. The Tyra, a bit of a quiet game though up to this point for Dintic. Good crossfire to kind of help seal up that mid, but hasn't been the overwhelming damage as maybe some other DPS has provided.
5 seconds left. It's going to go down. Looking for the touch in overtime. It's going to be Exile, but none of them going to be able to get there in time. A lot of slides right after the fact.
Yeah.
But they'll end this one 1-1. Still maintain a lot of ults coming into this round. Feeling pretty confident about their abilities. But I think, what was it, the 4 ults that were used in one area here definitely helped start this off on the right foot for FiveStack. And they might be able to drop some of that like similar combo. It was right here where they just everything and anything came through.
It's a huge immortal though. I mean, you heard it right before that flew. I mean, and it could not have been better timed. They still ended up really losing that fight, Exile did, but it was more positional based, I think, rather than kills. Asdiff popped the immortal right into it. It was like a triple or a quadra. This time another great stun. No immortal to save their life this time. Zero gets number 1. Ice Monkey looking for number 2. Dintic blocked in. Much better start for FiveStack as the 2 remaining members of Exile are frontliners. They're going to try to get to the point just to mitigate, but not enough. And FiveStack off to the races.
That's pretty much the only time they could have done all of those ults again in that sequence and not been met by an immortal. It came up right there towards the tail end of their life here for Exile. So they have it available. Crossfire going to get popped. Looking to melt the Inara. 75% and rising for FiveStack. You got to get to the objective. You got to get there fast if you are Frog. And that's going to be where he's making a beeline for. But unfortunately, it cost him his life.
Yeah, Muto throws out the illusory rift just to stop the fight from Exile. And a great turnaround here from FiveStack. They grab themselves their first mid fight, kind of even out that 300 credit boost. Exile got one, FiveStack got the other now. Payload moving forward with a chance to go up to 3, 1 point away from ending the game. And I think that's a good way to word it. A better kind of volley of ultimates, or rather not countered out by the Immortal that time, and FiveStack really ran away with it.
Just being able to kind of find that proper timing, a lot of good damage from Ice Monkey to kind of keep him going. Same for Zero, to be able to recharge the seismic crash in that amount of time. I think was impressive for them because it was about 85%, I believe, at the beginning of the round for the Immortal, which now it's going to get popped. It's going to be able to hold true for a little while. You've got a minute and a half to get that one back, but sure enough, seismic crash, assert dominance, coming back up once again. If they come through, you might be looking at FiveStack trying to find a convergence.
Probably going to be the last of the Immortal and Whirlwind. Whirlwind maybe will be able to come back by the end of the round. Immortal less likely. Shots there from Amadeus. Grab the kill onto Bagel.
Either way, good shots coming through. Cassie, not standing, not a 20-0 kind of performance. Stun right on top of their head. Goomba Stomp for Dintic. Aspect as well. Frog going to go down. This is beautiful play coming down from Ice Monkey. It's very aggressive. Good for the team. Keeps the payload moving. Full team wide. And it feels like they ride this thin line for both of these teams, where sometimes all it takes is one small moment of excellence, and they just burst through.
The kind of defensive ultimates of the Immortal and the Whirlwind, that's a big difference maker there. Kept him in the fight about 30 seconds ago, didn't have him to counteract the team fight that FiveStack brought to play. 20 seconds left. Maybe an overtime looms large. You're just going to have to maybe look out for a couple of poke shots. Maybe the first pick does it. Aspect is the first one to do a dodge roll backwards as the Dome Shield drops down from Frog. Zero trying to stay alive, but dancing between a firebomb and other poke damage. Not easy to do. And Exile grab themselves defense.
Wow.
Point number 2.
Tail end of that, too. I mean, that is... if you had asked me 10 seconds ago, that's going in. So very well played from Exile. Did have to use the Dome Shield to get it. An Immortal, once again, not charged up at the beginning of this round, but they're not going to be running directly into an Assert Dominance or a Seismic Crash. Those are going to take some time to charge up as well. And, well, the threat is shifting. Cassie still doing pretty well for FiveStack, 9-4, so maybe not the #1 priority.
Yep.
Because right now, Ice Monkey is actually the one I think that's causing the most trouble. 7, 3, and 8. The damage numbers, 60,000, pretty solid for an Ashe player. And he is just disrupting the backline. Without the Assert Dominance, I think we're going to see a change of pace for Ice Monkey and FiveStack as a whole this round. But he is definitely someone to keep your eye on and someone that Exile should be worried about for the rest of this map.
The Assert Dominances have been pretty spectacular throughout this game for Ice Monkey. Crossfire equals kill #1 for Exile. And a double at that. 0 goes down. Relying on Ice Monkey as your sole frontliner there. Firebomb goes into the apartment side. Just as a little bit of zone. Asdiff throws up the shield. Has the Immortal now. Assert Dominant Seismic Crash. That volley of ultimates soon to be ready. Might dash back towards his team to keep in range. Seismic Crash. Assert Dominance. Pair it one more time, but the Immortal right there and waiting. Keeps Exile in this fight. FiveStack look to find some kills, but a lot of mitigation.
And Exile up 87-12 now, as FiveStack have been able to put a little bit on there. But good tire marks from Dintic might be what makes the difference. Too good, going to take him out. 0 going to help alongside him. That's going to be 3 down for Exile right now. Big plays needed to get back in here. But since they're even, they should still be able to touch before a full conversion from FiveStack.
That was good by Aspect just to stay on the mid. Kept FiveStack from getting that much more, and look, Exile already kind of back in this fight. Or without, rather, their healer. Just for a few more seconds. 75 and climbing for FiveStack. Maybe one last chance for Exile to get back in. No ultimates immediately ready. Crossfire soon to be, though, and there it is. 0 finds the first blood. Nobody in range from Exile to get a touch, and FiveStack wins one more time.
Just being able to hold on as best they can. Dintic staying off on the side, not going to be able to do too much here as his team gets either wiped or falls back with him. So FiveStack going to be able to start off this objective push pretty quickly, pretty swiftly. Illusory Rift, ready. Midnight, ready. Soon enough, you're going to have a Seismic Crash. You set these things up, and they have the tools necessary to convert this, potentially find themselves a 4-2 victory if you're FiveStack. Unless Frog and crew on Exile can absolutely change the pace of this game, and they're going to have to do it fast.
Dome Shield might do it. Illusory Rift to counter out for FiveStack. Exile looking for a little bit of presence. Payload still moving forward. Amadeus completely zoned out of the fight by Frog on this right-hand side. Asdiff on the Fernando still kind of trying to hold the payload where it's at. His health bar is shrinking by the second. Won't have the Immortal to keep himself alive. That's a scout from FiveStack just to give them the little extra vision.
Couple of good shots here. Could find a kill either way. Fernando incredibly low. On the other side, Cassie incredibly low. Assert Dominance to the back line. Big ol' wow. First blood of the fight. They're coming up to the bottom of the hill. There's a minute left, but right now it's coming up all red.
Oh, that's a big one. Another Assert Dominance locks up two. The kills all for FiveStack. The game all for FiveStack. And this set is tied up. Something I pretty much expected to say throughout this set today.
Yeah, I mean, this is one historically goes to 3-2, 5 games between the two of them. And FiveStack, I will say, have been kind of impressive today. Yeah. Looking very good in Game 1, even though they lost in Game 2, even with that win. A lot, though, that is kind of pivotal on Ice Monkey.
Right.
And a little bit on Tuga. This time I would say Amadeus as well. Like, Cassie plus their off-tank is the combo that they're going for right now. And it looked good. A lot of really good ults coming down from him throughout this game. And not bad damage numbers either.
It was close from Exile. They hung their way in there. Dintic actually highest on his team. Actually, he was 30 damage lower than Bagel, but effectively even for the top damage on his team. And the slash lines kind of tell the story of this one.
Yeah.
Damage dealers for Exile not able to get comfortable. Feel like they were there to do damage. There were a lot of good Immortals to counter out some of that sudden team fight from FiveStack. Wasn't enough, though, as Amadeus, the and the rest of the boys were able to win the game.
And I'm just going to throw it out there. Frog makes that meme. I talk about said meme when he's playing Anar. They win the game. Switch to Fernando Barrick. They lose the game. I think he was sending a message. Subliminal messaging yesterday from Frog, applying to their set today.
Gore, that is a great point.
That's that in-depth analysis that really matters.
It's hard hitting, it's accurate, and that's what we've come to expect here.
Technically not incorrect. They lost this game, and he made that tweet.
You're in the realm of certainty. Nothing you've said is wrong. The end result is you swapped from a Nara to a Barrack.
You won one game, and you lost the other.
And it's all meme related. It all comes full circle here for Frog, I think. The full roundabout. Big win there for FiveStack to keep this series within reach. Exile, though, not a team to really fall back on their laurels. I expect a good draft and aggressive game here in Game 3, which will be right after this.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins minor league. Fighting back here, FiveStack even up the score at 1 apiece. Brightmarsh, not the snowbally landslide we've been seeing, but frankly, pretty much an all-out war like the rest of the set. This day has just been very, very closely competitive. And this is what I wanted, right? This is what I wanted. This is what I had hoped for from the minor league in the last couple of weeks, despite these teams being locked in for the placement week. You know, this is still important to, I think, the future for these minor league teams and to continue to put forth their best effort, right? The offseason is when all these trades and movements and things like that happen amongst these lower, not qualified teams. And even sometimes the qualified teams make those changes in the offseason. So kind of leave everybody with a good taste in your mouth, right? That good reputation, show everybody why you belong.
Something you can point to. You know, say, hey, watch this sick play I did in week 13.
Recency matters, too.
Yeah, exactly. You're showing I'm playing this well now, not I was playing this good 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Having that. And that game was really back and forth. I think I could pin it down to one moment that I think sealed it for me. ASDF was blocking during the 2-2 point fight. He was fighting the Ashe on the side. She was I think the only person who had a really great line to touch, and he didn't body block the door. He backed up. He went back in with the Immortal after and saved his team from the assert dominance, but she still managed to get that overtime, and he just could have potentially forced them to throw someone else at the point and burn that. But that really, to me, was when the momentum completely flipped. After that, 5Stack just rolled it to their victory.
Yeah, FiveStack are looking for blood today. A lot of these team fights, if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. They put the Cassie on a completely different player this time around. Still look damn good on it. And those are the types of picks you love to get map after map after map. Speaking of, let's head to the screen, see where we're going to be heading next. Splitstone Quarry is the name of the game. FiveStack Esports had an incredible performance, specifically Tuga there on the Cassie. They switch up the script, still managed to do well with that. And that's what I love about those picks, is the ones that you can get that are versatile, that can be played by multiple people, because they're safe to pick early on, and you don't give away much information to your opponents as to what type of draft they're going to be forming. What champions are we still looking for?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, having that flexibility is great. Speaking of flexibility and unique drafts, I was going to say, there's no point
tags. No rhyme or reason.
There's no point tags in this game. They're just gone. Straight up, and we're going to see both powerful tanks coming through. FiveStack getting Cassie again into Makoa this time. An even better matchup, I would say, for this pick that's been incredibly potent for FiveStack.
You've got Debilitate Sky and Big Game Cassie. Yeah. Big Game Cassie for all these types of reasons, right? You know, viability against other characters, other matchups. I think in terms of the HP shredders, That's really who you want. You don't really want Debilitate Sky, and clearly FiveStack have shown the value of this pick to them specifically. Atlas is another pretty powerful guy. But Khan on this map, this is one of his better maps in my opinion, just because Overpower is, as long as you're hitting it, is good for a guaranteed kill. Like, there's nothing that can stand in your way. You don't need a teammate around. It's almost unmess-upable. I'll say almost, because I'm sure, you know, everybody has moments and stuff where they dash into, you know, the grinder, unfortunately, and things like that. But for the most part, I really do like Khan on this map.
Yeah, and having Maeve, too, very good at pressuring the backline, which they're going to need. Khan kind of rough at a height disadvantage. They're going to need someone that can kind of help them equalize. Terminus also picked up the other side to have a point tank and a triple tank with a Nando. I'm kind of worried about the damage potential of Exile.
Maeve's going to try and shoulder that burden as much as possible. Ko and Khan do have good weapons, but I definitely feel you there. Fernando is not really bringing the heat to the damage department. And one buster that was left up and available is Pip. Incredible ultimate for dealing with this type of composition, but with things like Immortals and Whirlwinds and just good old resilience.
Yeah.
Hopefully Exile can stay alive long enough to make this work. I don't know if you have a feeling either way.
I got a side for FiveStack, but I think Exile, if they have good Ancient Rages and Immortals, things to counter out the hard CC of the Evil Mojo, I think they could pull it out.
Yeah. Obviously still having some of these power tanks on either side. It's tough to call which way it's going to go. Only one way to find out, and it's down into game.
That's absolutely correct, and there were a lot of good Immortals to counter out some of the hard CC from FiveStack in the last game. Not enough, though, to get Exile the win. They'll need more of the same, though, to give them a chance here on Splitstone Core. And another look at a triple front line with a Maeve composition. The front line they've got a nice Makoa, some Khan, a little bit of Fernando as well.
I think I like Exile's draft and lineup on this map a little more. Pip has some merit, and again, like they were saying, there's a lot that can go against them. You know, if you don't have Immortal up, if you don't have, you know, Leviathan up, to be able to use your Ancient Rage and gain some CC immunity, then you're SOL. You're going to get Evil Mojo'd. You're going to get turned to a chicken, and it's going to be troublesome. But there's not many parts of this map that I think, man, I wish I was Pip right there in this fight. Whereas if you are Maeve, usually you're supposed to win those trades.
Did not. Not even close there. Amadeus. Some healing, some good damage, better shots. Got him the fight win. Bigger health pools, though, for Exile. Despite the 2v1 disadvantage kills-wise. Going to be fighting from the point here. Off into the corner. These are areas where Amadeus can get some good damage in. He hits his shots properly. Kind of rotating around down to the left here. Just playing that high ground Pip, though, and pretty effectively so far.
Tuga in a good position as well. Very precarious when you stand in front of the drill, just because any kind of knockback, any sort of control, which actually there's not too much of on Exile. They'd have to find an overpower, which isn't charged up, and throw you into it. They don't have anything to push you back. So precarious, but still safe here for Tuga, unless he missteps. And there's the first Evil Mojo of the game. It's going to find a kill.
Let's find a kill, and FiveStack already fighting from the point, so this is going to be very good for them. 72 and climbing. Looks like Aspect is just going to try to move forward and counter out any percentage, but a better setback from FiveStack is going to prevent that. One last touch maybe from Dintic. Amadeus now flying to the rescue. Midnight used at the last moment, didn't come out. Scout did, though, for FiveStack as they grab point number one. Maybe a little something to look at. You still have all your ultimates except for Ancient Rage for Exile.
There's going to be the overcharge, or overpower coming through. He's grabbing him up. Someone needs to shoot him. Well, no one will, and now he actually might be... It's hard to say if that's a better position, worse position, or if it doesn't matter. It looks at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Maybe helps get some more damage out there, but so far well played by FiveStack as they step up to the plate. And right now they are doing everything they need to and more to keep this payload rolling. They haven't hit any snags in the 40 seconds they've been going.
They have the Midnight, they have the Immortal. Dintic tried to use it at the end of the point cap. Didn't come out. Tuga, not quite the 20 kill performance just yet. 3 minutes into this game. Gets his first one of the game there onto Dintic. But way ahead damage numbers wise. Call it 15,000, and the next two are both on his team. Things looking good for FiveStack as the kills keep on rolling. Another Evil Mojo sets up some damage. Nobody from Exile really in range, though. You have your triple front line, but none of them are down there to contest as FiveStack grab their second point.
Just being able to push that through, find that full conversion. 1 death in the round. The only kill found by Bagel. Means they need to turn this one on its head fast if you're Exile, or else it's going to get out of hand incredibly fast. 48,000 damage for Tuga once again on the Cassie. Nothing crazy, I think, in terms of slash lines that's outstanding other than the fact that there's a bunch of goose eggs in the death column for FiveStack. Damage numbers make sense. I think this is just coming down to smoother play from FiveStack, kind of recognizing what Exile we're going for. And that Pip throws a wrench in the entire plan. Not a lot to deal with him. Maeve can try to get back there, but Amadeus has shown a couple times now that he's more than happy to take that kind of boxing match.
I'm trying to think of the last time we would have seen a Pip on Splitstone Corey. I mean,
I will be honest, I'm not sure I ever have seen Pip on Splitstone Corey.
This might be our first little data point. It looks good for Amadeus so far. I mean, Exile are opting to kind of fight in that bleacher side, and Amadeus is A-okay, sitting up high, pouring down damage. Here's the Exiles come out, so he jumps away. He's just gonna lock up Asdiff there, try to prevent him from participating. Ancient Rage, though, saves his life as Ice Monkey. Gonna drop down. Asdiff back from the Exiles. 85% and climbing for Exile here. FiveStack looking to fight. Illusory Rift for them is going to give them some good healing. Keep them in it. Evil Mojo, though, sets up a good kill, but there's your counter out. The Immortal finally used and kind of sends that Evil Mojo by the wayside.
99% for Exile. All they need is a little bit of room. Midnight going to make it harder to find the fire. Pip waiting slowly but surely on that Maeve. Health bar getting pretty low. Zero goes down, reanimates back up. And they're still in this fight. It's overtime as 2 kills come up for the red team.
Yeah, and they might just be able to roll this one on out. A couple members of Exile left alive. But Ice Monkey still back on the point. And this is important. If they're able to stagger out 2 of the 3 frontliners even more heavily, the chances are quickly disappearing. And I think even maybe without dismounts from FiveStack, this one may just be all she wrote. It will be FiveStack on point 3. Looking to end this game. 0 so far for Exile.
Having a hard time getting that 12 streak eliminated on the side of the healer. Not finding too much to get rid of Muto. And when Ying stays alive, that means she charges up that ult incredibly fast. 93, 92% there on the Illusory Rift. And when you're up 3-0, that's almost all you need to be able to maybe lock this one out. FiveStack, I mean, again, you know, it says it was a meme, and it was a meme. And it was a good meme. Death to the patriarchy. And ever since they stopped picking as many female champions, Exile have been losing. So, you know, maybe I'm reading too far into this. Maybe Frog single-handedly predicted
Frog
the set. He's a prophet.
He's on a tree, I mean, right? I don't know. Where does that fall? I don't know. That's a conversation.
I'm going pretty far off the handle. I have no idea what that sentence means. What the words you just
we were
said
talking about
formed
Frog.
a sentence.
We were talking about Frog playing Grover because you said he picked a Nara and they won, and then he swapped to a male tank and lost. So I'm saying now he's playing Grover. So what does that mean?
You know, Grover's gender is pretty ambiguous. That might be a big issue to
Maybe
discuss
Sylvanas,
here.
despite not being in Paladins, tilts the scales. But
We'll have to figure that out.
at least for now, it's working out. Frog, the journeyman, played frontline, now on to healing for Exile. As FiveStack not really anywhere near the payload. Remember, their last payload push just started and ended almost the moment it spawned out from the mid-cap.
Yeah.
Do have some ultimates starting to charge. Illusory Rift and Evil Mojo will both be up around the same time, so still a chance for them to get the 4-0 win.
And all they have to do here, 30 seconds that are left, but they're going to be able to contest this. They're holding on to overtime.
Right.
And they're coming around the corner. Actually, really good angle from Ice Monkey. They have more than enough potential to be able to fight back into this one, cause some trouble. Nice little stasis field should allow some aggression here, but they need to find a way to angle to be able to get back into this one. Overtime touch is not going to be the difficult part. It's finding an opening kill, but they lose Tuga, who's one of the essential parts of this draft.
Yeah, I think that this one just starts to roll out of favor of FiveStack. Bagel finds the right moment to move on forward. Zero smartly not using the reanimate there, and that's going to be point number 1 on Splitstone for Exile.
Well, they hold on just a little bit longer, and this is a longer map. Maybe counting Exile out before all of these eggs had hatched. They have a lot of potency to be able to come through, and if there's anything Triple Frontline can do, it is hold on longer than it should, right? It is win mid-fights after they haven't been successful.
Yep.
And I think being able to come into this one looking pretty iffy. Bagel kind of being the one that's standing out. Astif and Aspect not quite showcasing, I think, the talents of it. And skyrocketing 50,000 damage ahead of everybody is Tuga. Once again, the 115K mark. You got to do something about this Cassie, and I honestly don't know if I have an answer. Dintic has to be the one to do it, but there's no way to get back there.
That's a swing and a miss on the overpower for Bagel. The big ultimate now missing as FiveStack have 5 ready to roll. Whirlwind used, Immortal, everything's starting to fly now. Big wow into the battle shout, Commander's grab as well. Dintic looking for kind of a sneaky flank. Evil Mojo connects onto a couple. The Immortal not available was used earlier in this fight, and Astif goes down at the hands of Tuga. A good series of ultimates there. Maybe give FiveStack the edge, but Exile Gore, they're still on the point.
And they do have comeback mechanics. 62% will close to 100 incredibly fast if they can just get on there uncontested for a little while. They're going to have to deal with this. Even if they get a kill onto Terminus, he has his reanimate, which is a great way to clear off the zone. So Zero going down here, it's not the end of the world for him, but instead it's all kills for FiveStack still.
This is a great look for FiveStack. Aspect is able just to delay. And now zoning for the win in Splitstone Quarry. It's FiveStack, not even really all that much of a zone. Amadeus just right back to the high ground on this pip. As Exile look for one more re-entry.
Well, they have it. Midnight available. Usually a good way to get back in. Whirlwind was just popped. They have an overpower. If it connects this time around, might make a bigger difference, but he's going to be going for the pip. Looking for the shots. He's going to be able to find it. Getting rid of Amadeus might put him in a good position.
And Aspect gets a kill onto Zero as well. He has to reanimate. Elects to use it right now. Explodes. Doesn't find much out of it. Illusory Rift, though. That's immediately countered out by the overpower. Remember,
good ult.
Bagel missed. Got it reset down to 30%. This is going to be a point for Exile. Got it reset down to 30%. Which allowed him to cancel out that reanimate. Good Midnight from Dintic as well. Set up that fight for Exile.
I think that Midnight and that kill onto Amadeus is probably the biggest thing for FiveStack being able to stay alive, or for Exile being able to stay alive in this one. Also, beautiful patience coming down. I would have popped that overpower so much earlier. There's so many instances where it could have been impactful, but waiting for the reanimate and then using it to re-kill Terminus almost instantly, making sure that Zero really doesn't get anything out of that ult was a great call by Bagel. Keeps him alive in this, keeps him moving forward. And man, the slash lines aren't too pretty, but Exile still able to potentially push this one forward, find themselves a map, or at least a tie point in terms of 3-3.
We talked about, I think it was game 1, they banned Grover and Khan and first picked Cassie, and I was curious as to why, and I guess Tuga is kind of answering that question. He's a good 70,000 damage higher than anyone else in the game, and the next 2 people are on his team. He's around the same, 70 and some change above anyone on Exile.
Second game on Cassie this set where he's broken 150,000 damage as well. It's pretty impressive on his part to be able to do so. It's a lot of shots that are connecting, causing a lot of trouble for these tanks. I mean, Makoa has 9 deaths, I believe, coming into this right now. I mean, a lot that's going wrong. Yeah, 2 and 9 there. A lot of trouble for Dintic as well, 8 and 8. So it's troublesome, but so far not unmanageable for Exile. But the question does have to come down. How much can they do without comeback mechanic? Because Tuga keeps having moments like that.
Yeah, they have not really given an inch to Exile. lot of that, as you point out, thanks to Tuga. I think the Evil Mojos have been relatively good as well from Amadeus. 25 seconds left, so still some time. In the early kind of, I don't know if it's early really at 5 points into the game, but the investment, I'll say, into resilience for Exile is very apparent. There's 2 for everyone on the team. Lots that affects, but really counters out the Evil Mojo, namely. Amadeus from the high ground, looking to keep this one at a 1-point advantage for FiveStack. Overtime begins. And take a little bit caught out here. Remember, that's what won Exile the mid-fight, was Dintic catching Amadeus out. Things a little bit different here. Good cleave damage. First blood, though, for Dintic onto Ice Monkey, but immediately returned back. Amadeus getting aggressive. Tuga grabs a kill as well, and looks like FiveStack might just run away with this defense.
And a nice little combo there between him and Tuga for Amadeus to be able to pick up the kill or assist there onto Frog. Now they're going to be burning through. Last 2 tanks. Again, this is what Triple Tank does. It survives just longer than you think it should.
It's a really good example of that right there.
But unfortunately for Exile, that doesn't mean anything in terms of getting points.
Yeah, I mean, it survived, but there was nothing going on their team that kind of kept that one in the balance. Aspect, a nice double kill. Kind of start off this defense, and then, oh no, he stole the kill as well into the fidget spinner.
It's pretty impressive, honestly.
Yeah, that was
with
almost
the
immediate.
flame lance.
Wow.
That's very impressive.
Wow. Well, the gap has grown to 80,000 damage for Tuga.
Z-Peats.
I'm not going to do that math quickly. Nothing good comes of it when I try, but I'll call it 80K. Amadeus as well on that pip. Damage numbers breaking 100,000. They're about to have 3 members of FiveStack above 100K, where only 1, and that's Dintic for Exile, kind of knocking on that door. Still game to win here. Evil Mojo starts it off. Zero grabs the kill. Big hook in, right into the fidget spinner for Asdip. And what a play by the Makoa to keep Exile involved in this fight.
Very interesting trade session coming down between these. Asdip going down, though, does mean it's in favor of FiveStack right now. Keeps him on the objective. And Terminus, another one of those, about to break 80,000 damage for him. And that's going to be a big roll. Zero with the reanimate charged up is going to be able to kind of clear out this point. When it comes down to fighting tanks, Terminus does a real good job of it. And he's going to continue trying to Cassie under duress right now from the Ancient Rage, but she gets out alive.
Despite 75% on the board, it's only the 2nd ultimate used in this mid-fight. Time's out. Exile set back into the shell shield. He goes. Exile fighting from the point at the moment as Bagel Wow grabs a kill onto Zero. Muto, the offensive presence of this Ying, has been kind of a difference maker for FiveStack, but Dintic right back in on this Mave. Gives Exile another advantage. Half-fast cap for them, and you might just be relying on Zero to try to delay.
Well, there's going to come in Terminus.
Reanimate.
He's going to land there. Has reanimate, so he's essentially dive bombing the objective right now. He goes down. I expect an ult to be able to come through, although waiting for anyone to step onto it. And that's going to start garnering
he got a kill
percentage.
too.
That's 96. That's a beautiful ult.
He got a kill. He's right back into the fight. FiveStack looking good. Zero, what a play. Gets one with the reanimate. One's with the Calamity Blast. FiveStack are going to grab themselves Splitstone Quarry. Not without resistance, but they're going to get the win nonetheless.
Honestly, Zero, that's one of the best calls I think I've seen on Terminus, where he just recognizes, I'm the only one here, and there's not much I can do. I'm Terminus. Like, I don't have long range. I've got an axe, and I can blow up. That's about all I have. So going in, dying on purpose in a way, just to be able to come back through with a big detonation, gets a kill off of it as well, which immediately makes the ult worth, but zones away the objective. While he's alive there, he ticks up to 99%, and then it's just like on that edge. Exile have to move in, or else they have nothing.
FiveStack continuing to surprise me today. A great look for them. Knocking on the door of 200,000 for Tuga. Maybe just needed one more half of a fight to get there. But 195,000 is where he ends up, and Ice Monkey does end up eclipsing those 6 digits. So the triple front line of Exile was certainly tested that game under the duress of 300,000 damage dealers. Tuga at 10, 5, and 15 definitely had the most damage. Zero, though, there towards the end, we pointed out, had some great plays on this Terminus.
Yeah, and again, that final call to go in was probably one of my favorites. A little unfortunate scenarios for him as well. I mean, there was the point where he reanimated and immediately got overpowered into the drill. But a lot that he was able to bring that I wouldn't really expect of. I mean, nice long range, wide open map, and you're telling me the melee tank is going to be doing this well?
I
But
guess.
he brought a lot of damage, and I think this doesn't work anywhere near as well if they aren't playing this triple front line. I think because they're all, like, their goal for Exile is to be on the objective, that's where Terminus wants to fight. If you can hit and swing and hit 3 of you at any given time, then of course not only is his damage going to go up, but he's going to feel better. He can then power siphon a lot easier, and it kind of keeps him rolling forward just smoother.
I love seeing Terminus start to get played a little bit better. I think people are starting to kind of figure out where Terminus maybe belongs. You know, every once in a while there was kind of a one-off Terminus pick here and there. You know, SSG on Brightmarsh, kind of the most notable one. But more teams are really starting to figure out the point tank Terminus, and it's a lot of fun to watch. FiveStack, they grab a win on Splitstone Quarry, move themselves 1 win away from rounding out our 4th and final set of the day. Find out if they do it in just a sec.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins minor league. Nothing like watching some Terminus slaughter poor innocent champions of the realm to some smooth jazz, eh, Kresnik?
That was literally my brain 90% of the time during the day. Whenever I'm just dead staring while you guys are throwing to somebody else, that's all that I'm picturing in my head.
Just a cool little Terminus highlight and some smooth jazz. Can't ask for anything better than that, folks. It's been a good one here. I've really liked the variety and the bans and the drafts and what these teams are grabbing. Again, the numbers wouldn't necessarily point to a staggering victory, and that's not what I would call that Splitstone Quarry game. But what I liked is that even in the late game, when what is busting that triple front line up, the Evil Mojo, you still saw the coordination to actually get those kills. And there's nothing like seeing a chicken get insta-gibbed, right? The worst is when they get around the corner, they pop out, they shrug it off, and then the team fight gets flipped. But I think FiveStack really showed great coordination start to finish in that game.
Yep, you have to. Honestly, if you want to be able to burn those Evil Mojos, late game, you only have 2 seconds.
Yeah,
If they're playing close to those corners, they really are going to be able to get away. And if you overextend for it, you mentioned it, that flips the team fight. You run in, suddenly you're looking at a full health tank when you were looking at a 10 health chicken a second ago.
Yeah.
You have to be synced up and make it work.
It is very, very risky, guys. This one could all come to an end if FiveStack can grab themselves another victory. We'll head to the map screen here shortly and see where this one potentially could come to an end. Another Frog Isle game here, 4-2 for Exile, 4-2 for Exile in the last couple outside of Serpent Beach. Again, it's not been landslide victories, just kind of solid. I'm surprised that one took as long as it did, frankly. It looked like it might have been a blowout there at the start, but we ended up getting a pretty good game when it was all said and done. The bans have been impossible to predict so far this set, and frankly, this feels like a little bit more older school style of Frog Isle bans with the snipers and EVs being the really top priority and top of the food chain.
Yeah, and it's weird because I feel like the off tanks can kind of deal with them effectively, but instead going to let them roam free, pressuring through that danger side, getting onto the enemy window where you can have potentially what's left. I mean, a Cassie is going to come in for FiveStack again.
Is it a problem at this point to keep letting them get Cassie?
Apparently, Ying is more of a problem according to Exile.
Yeah.
But, I mean, almost 190,000, I think maybe even over that damage from the Cassie last round. Maybe they just think it's no matter what they give, they're going to have one backline DPS that does that. So they're just choosing to ignore it, play around it. But picking Makoa into it, I think, is the problem.
Cassie is, exactly. That's part of it, is it's not the best matchup to take into Cassie. And it is just so flexible for FiveStack, and we've seen it just perform time and time again on either of the players they elect to put it on, right? It's not like they're really forcing anyone into that pick. It's going to work for whoever they make pilot it. They do get a Willow, though. That's a new storyline here for Exile, and it is a very, very powerful character. With no immediate hit scan counter, but you want to factor in like a Furia and an Atlas, those two together, unless she's way, way, way up in the skybox, you know, she's really going to be feeling the heat from those hit scans.
Plus the Maeve can pressure her too. I mean, diving in with the 9 lives, kind of just hovering in the air for quite a bit, getting a lot of damage in on
Those
her.
are always fun to watch.
And it's going to happen. I'm almost positive. I mean, that's the best way for them to deal with it, honestly. And looking at this, I think I'm siding with FiveStack purely because of how Asdef played on the Makoa last game.
Okay.
I felt like he was getting a little bit overzealous, and I think there's too many things on the FiveStack side that are going to punish that over-aggression from the Makoa.
All right, gentlemen, we've got a fresh new take on the draft here. Very interesting, heading down to Frog Isle. Let's get it down to the casters and potentially wrap this one up.
That's right, FiveStack. They've only been able to win a couple throughout this split, Gore. But one more win on Frog Isle, of all places, to maybe round out this set and get them another one on the board.
They're knocking on the door to victory, and this is a map that can make it happen pretty quickly as far as things go. 4 zeros, not uncommon with how small this map is. And I would argue the push on like Ice Mines, maybe Ascension Peak, has to definitely be on Fish Market. Laid out straight is longer than Frog Isle as an entire map.
I don't think you're wrong
Let the battle begin.
on that one. FiveStack grabbed themselves Atlas and Khan. It's a pretty strong frontline combination, but so is Barak Makoa. This one really, honestly, could just come down to execution. And it's now another pivot with Tuga on the Maeve and Amadeus back on the Cassie. And I gotta say, I mean, I think Amadeus has a fine Cassie, but the way Tuga has been playing that champion today, I don't know how you pivot him off.
Yeah, it's really hard to make an argument for it, although his Maeve earlier was pretty good. Unfortunately, this time around is the first one to fall, and it's making a big difference. That 42% was nice for FiveStack, but 60 and rising for Exile. And a pretty good zone following it up. Makoa, probably one of my favorite battle tanks on this map as far as things go. Ramp control falls into his wheelhouse easily.
Knocked back, but grabs the hook. 90% for Exile. Frog just trying to poke out Tuga. Does so relatively effectively. Gonna be a battle shout as well as Muto. Gonna keep his team nice and healthy from the back line here. Amadeus grabs a kill. Ice Monkey does the same. 2 down for Exile on the retake attempt, but that's a rocket boots out here from Frog. At 78% for FiveStack. That just may be all she wrote, Gore. Looks like FiveStack are well on their way to point number 1.
And a good little kill, Asdef in mid-dash going down. No overtime even triggered, didn't get the touch. And so it's going to be clean kills, FiveStack, clean point. And again, this amount of control early on, if Amadeus wakes up himself on this Cassie, then it is going to be clean control from here on out. This push, notoriously short, and already 25% of the way there, and it's only been 20 seconds.
Well, it seems like he's awake. The 5 streak, his eyes look to be nice and open for this maybe final engagement of this push. Overpower from 0. Does connect. Bagel with an important trade back, though, onto Tuga. And Flame for FiveStack use. They want to push this advantage as far as it could possibly go. Ice Monkey just needed another shot or two. He's able to simultaneously set back and give himself a second chance, though. So kind of a wash on this left-hand fight.
Looking to try and set up the play there for Ice Monkey on the side. Some long-range stun attempts, but a Midnight from Tuga might just seal the deal. Does seal Frog's fate, and might just lock the rest of them in base. 4 members of Exile up, but none of them down there on the payload.
Yeah, this is a damaging zone, to be sure, from FiveStack, and the Midnight really buys them all the space they need. And Zero's just going to keep that door shut. A great start, a great finish to that push for FiveStack. 3 minutes into this game, or already halfway there.
Making sure they have control. Comeback mechanic, not to be underestimated, worked real well for Exile during the last map, but much like we saw a couple games ago, 2 total kills they were able to pick up throughout that round. Not a good way to start, very foreboding. 404, Amadeus' score is not found as of right now. And while he's looking for that, he's going to keep on finding kills.
Where could it be?
It's a good question. At least it wasn't a 403,
That's true.
which is just access denied or something like that. I'm not up to date on my HTML codes. I had to stop doing that a couple years ago, and I haven't touched it since.
Don't blame you. That stuff's, I guess, rewarding. Somewhat annoying, though, whenever you run into those errors. Amadeus, though, at 404 is going to look to make it either a 405 or a 504 here in just a second. As Exile are on the point first, they do have technically the ultimate advantage as FaveFlight used first. Frog holding onto that dome shield for a moment where he might need it, and that's not right now as the aggressive Makoa into the Ancient Rage grabs a kill, exits. Only 94 health to his name, though. Good start here from Exile. That's FiveStack. They got some great retake ultimates. Well-timed dome shield from Frog is going to make Zero really kind of think twice about when he wants to re-engage.
Overpower's been charged up, though. Barrage drops down on top of Zero, staying alive, and he's waiting to throw that one out. But he has the ability to throw someone out.
Yep.
And he's going to go for the shot. Looks like it does not connect there. 30% retained, but he's not going to be able to find the ult, so they're going to rely on finding this the old-fashioned way.
I think the Exiles may have delayed this fight just enough for FiveStack, as Tuga is able to leap on in there and grab the kill onto Frog, and
Good
here's
aggression.
that damaging zone. One more time. They're already at 42%. The stagger's going to be hefty, Gore. And Exile at 99%. They could go fishing one more time for a point.
It's a real good 99%, but they so far have only doubled their kills from the previous round. Started off pretty all right. They've been putting it onto Tuga, focusing him down. The Evious 1-2 kill, but it hasn't been enough yet. That's another point for FiveStack. Now they're starting this push off. 505, 2-0-7, 2-0-8. 3 undying members on FiveStack. It's a good way to potentially finalize this and win yourself a set.
That's right, and Amadeus has given us good reason. They give him the Cassie. Tuga deep into the back line. I think Tuga has just kind of been that hyper-aggressive. Dive in, that's why he has 4 deaths. But it's allowed everyone else from FiveStack to, I wouldn't say go unnoticed, but kind of split focus from Exile.
Yeah, it's distraction factor. It's one of the things flanks bring to the game. Outside of just really good damage and great mobility, it is going to come down to the fact that you have to deal with them on the side. You have to look towards them. That time it does connect. He's going to be able to find the nice burn down on the Bagel, and that makes it a 4v5 almost instantly.
That's right, and Amadeus with the follow-up kill as well. Payload getting close. 5 seconds on the respawn timer for your Makoa. Nobody else in range from Exile. Payload rolling in. FiveStack are going to grab themselves one more victory and the set here on Frog Isle.
And being able to kind of solidify that one
like 5 minutes.
over Exile. Yeah, that was a very quick one. I mean, some long burns, especially if you look at the last set. Sanguine Hype Unit was a long one. But these two teams kind of have each other numbers. A really good Serpent Beach, really good Splitstone Quarry there. But this one, I think, was kind of fully in favor of FiveStack, and they showcased it.
Yeah, that Sanguine Hype Unit set may have been the longest 4-game set
Ever.
Maybe. Good looking slash lines, though, here for FiveStack. Healing numbers, about 30,000 in their favor. Not surprising seeing those streaks either. Going into that final push, actually, some of those streaks may just be their slash lines. I think a couple members of FiveStack maybe just ended that game undying. Good damage numbers from Amadeus. 8-1 and 6 for him. So only 2 members undying. That's Muto and Zero. But 1 death for Ice Monkey and Amadeus. That's a great form there for FiveStack.
6 total deaths. You can see 2-2 and 2 was the split there for Exile. And Amadeus picks up the Cassie, does really well, but Tuga has been kind of the star, I think, of this team for the day.
I agree.
And a lot of what he did this round, admittedly warranted. The reason he died so much is because look how deep he's going for these kills. I mean, that's a clean double kill deep in the back line of Exile, causing a lot of trouble, distress, distraction, all of the above. It's made it a lot easier for him and his team to make this a 4-0.
Yeah, I think whether it's mechanically or kind of meta game, changing the way that Exile have to position, kind of all the above for Tuga. He wins my MVP for the day, absolutely, for FiveStack. And the fact that, you know, even at like 7 and 4, especially when you have a couple members on your team undying and a couple members only with 1 death, at 7 and 4, to have double the deaths of the rest of your team combined and still have arguably some of the most impact. I think that's hats off to him. And this is a 5-stack team again. We'll see the kind of standings at the end of the day. It almost doesn't do him justice.
No, I think they have easily, would argue, my most improved for this split. Been able to pick up a lot throughout all of this, but like you said, it's a tough region. When you have to deal with Sanguine, you have to deal with Hype Unit. And admittedly, you have to deal with Exile, who, you know, and some of these sets have pushed this to 3-2 and won it. Sometimes they've lost it. It's a highly contended region.
I agree. Between EU and NA, I think minor league, it's all contended. But 5-stack, they grab themselves one more win here in our fourth and final set of the day. And that means we're going to go back to the desk to wrap things up.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Great job down there on the cast. But like they said, it has come to a close. Congratulations to the boys of 5-stack, who frankly managed to finish the upset here, right? This is not a fluke. We've seen a lot of upsets this week. Kind of pretty proud of our, minor league and console league scenes for putting the pedal to the metal in these last couple of weeks in games that won't necessarily affect their coming or going from a LAN event, but in fact just kind of puts their name in the hat for that offseason to make sure they're looking as potent as possible. Another great draft from 5-stack, I think, secures this one for them.
Yeah, for sure. The draft definitely ended up, honestly, perfect. It was so tough for Astif to get in. I know he had just barely over 20k damage on that last map. I mean, Makoa, when he's getting shut down, when he can't go in and get those hooks, that's when his damage is going to end up being low. Very tough to do those long-range shots. He has pretty sharp fall-off. He really can't do much at range.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Great stuff here today overall. When you look at the minor league, we still have one more week. So let's take a quick look at today's results and kind of how that all plays out. Penta defeats our team 3-1. 3-0 there for All Business. The only real convincing sweep of the day. Despite the 1-3 slash line here, that Hype Unit Sanguine set was an all-out war. More of the same when you look down at 5-stack Esports versus Exile. Very, very highly contested sets here today in EU and NA. Let's take a look at the standings here. Like I mentioned, not much left to play here in the minor league. Just about wrapped up, and these are coming close to your final standings. However, of course, both of these teams already locked in for the HRX placement week in both regions. All Business over there in Europe, and of course, Hype Unit in North America. Still looking to see if anyone could hand them their first legitimate loss, not that DQ type of loss, but with the win over Sanguine today, I think it's pretty safe to say that they are safe for that kind of almost perfect season.
We called that Exile dub over Sanguine earlier.
True.
You never know. Exile could strike back. Maybe if they tune up the drafts a little bit. From today, they got a shot.
Perhaps, man. Let's take a look at next week's schedule, the last of the minor league left to be played. Have one more full week of everything, one more week of console, one more week of minor, one more week of Premier League as well. And I think that was the schedule for today.
This is today's
But it's kind of just flip-flop for the most part. You will see not those 1s versus 2s, but the 1s and 3s, 2s and 4s, things like that. There it is. Sour Team, All Business, Penta, One Trick Pony, Hype Unit, 5-stack, Sanguine versus Exile. So definitely some matchups to look out for indeed. After the way that 5-stack brought it today, I'm curious to see what they're able to do against Hype Unit in the next week.
Curious to see if Hype Unit bans Cassie.
Yeah.
that would be an interesting adaptation. Today was great too.
Yeah, man.
So many, I felt like it had a little bit of everything. Close matches, could have gone either way. Interesting drafts.
Definitely.
Rolls, close games. It was really an all-over day.
Not too cheesy either, you know what I mean? A lot of pretty much everything we saw today had a lot of merit. A great day from the minor league. Congratulations to all the competitors on your wins, and tough out there if you got the loss. Of course, one more week to compete, like I mentioned, one more full week of competition. Every single league will have just a couple more matches, but we're not done for this week. On Thursday, 11 a.m. We have 2 triple headers this week on both Thursday and Friday for the PPL. So we're going to be getting started a little bit earlier than normal, 2 hours earlier than normal, whatever your time zone in. Tune in 2 hours earlier. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for today's broadcast, however. From me, Kresnik, the rest of the boys, and the casting squad, production, and everyone here at Skillshot Media, thank you so much, and we'll see you Thursday. Paladins Minor League is brought to you by Evil Mojo Games, developers of Paladins.
We're here live from Atlanta. The players are here. The stage is set. Let's get down for esports!
This is where we also talk about the new stuff. that we've got coming out for you all.
Look, HRX is literally my favorite time of year. It truly isn't close. This is what I live for.
If that's second place, I can't wait to see what first place is.
It is HRX.